Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reaper Wargaming podcast. We have our bonus episode today, as promised in the last episode, and we are joined by Simone of Hivemind, also Hivemind podcast. Is that right, Simone?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Do you want to talk just a little bit about Hivemind podcast, what you guys are about, what you've been doing down there?
Absolutely. So we are a team based in the southeast of England, in Kent, and the team is going for a couple of years now. I joined last year, and then we decided to have a podcast because we like talking about Warhammer, and why not? Let's do on a podcast. So we do have a fortnightly episode, and we enjoying it. So yeah, we talk about local community, global community, semi-competitive level, and we are just a couple of idiots in front of a microphone recording what we say. That's what it is.
Hey, don't you worry, we are exactly the same. So, just like the sound of our own choice and give ourselves an excuse to discuss Warhammer like a bunch of nerds that we are. So you were recently at the LGT. It happened at the exact same time as our RTT. We're not going to get into a debate about which one was better. It was definitely our RTT.
Absolutely. I only went to the LGT because it's closer to my house. Otherwise, quality-wise, it would be yours.
But yeah, could you just start by just telling us what is the LGT?
Yes, so the LGT is the London Grand Tournament. So it's the second biggest tournament of Warhammer 40k in the world after the Las Vegas Open. This year was attended by 750 odd people, and so it is a good way. It's a lot of ITC points coming from that event, even if you arrive last, just for the sheer number of players, basically. But most importantly, it's a massive social event. Everyone is there, and it is great. You walk around the aisle, and you find familiar faces, people you played before, people you see on stream on the internet, and it's good. And the level is a proper Shark Tank.
Yeah, good. And so you were saying there ICT points. What are ICT points?
So the ITC point at the International Tournament Circuit point,
okay.
We are basically is organized by Frontline Gaming. We've been the pioneer of the competitive 40k. I think I wasn't involved in the hobby at the time, but basically when Games Workshop basically shifted away from the competitive side, Frontline Gaming, we're based in the United States, they started this circuit of competitive Warhammer event, mostly to promote their own event, but then they open up this point to other tournament organizer, and then you can have from this circuit you can see all the ranking of the best player or best in faction or best per region, etc. You can filter it down as much as you want. So
oh, great. So essentially every time you go to a tournament that gives you these kind of points, it helps your ranking depending on how well you do or how badly you do. Cool, that makes a lot of sense.
If it is an event or a registered event. LGT is also the most important event for UKTC point, which is exactly the same things as the international one, but just UK focused.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So what motivated you to attend the event, and why do you think people should go to these kind of big, huge tournaments?
So I do love the competitive side of 40k, because it's just the way that I enjoy the hobby the most. So to me, it's a sort of natural fit to go to a large event like that one to measure my skill with other player. However, I wouldn't say just for competitive player to go to a good things to go to the LGT. There are a lot of play, even casual player, etc., go there to have 5 good games, and enjoy the hobby, showcase your army. There is a parade of amazingly painted army that you can see, and London GT is a great event because it's not just about the tournament. There are different game system as well going on, tournament around. There is a very good, a lot of stand selling stuff. There was an amazing real standard size Titan game, something like that. Anyway, there is so much going on. There
Oh.
it's just a beauty to go there.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Dave's already planning.
I saw
planning in his head.
pictures. I saw pictures literally just this afternoon of what Simone's just mentioned. It's the Titan Walk where they play on the floor.
Yeah.
And they like walk around wearing no shoes, and it's all
they're just massive guys.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It was so cool. I didn't know what was going on because the event is in a sort of indoor athletic center, so it's huge, and basically there were all the 40k table, then there was some other event in between, and then there were these Titanicus big scale size. So I didn't know until the end that there was this game going on, until when we were having some beer, because they sell crafted beer as well there, which is another great reason to go there. We went down and have a tour to see what was going on, and we found out they were doing this event, and it was cool, very cool.
So would you say that when you're at the event, obviously you're playing, it's your standard tournament setup for those 2 days, minimum, what was it, 5 games minimum?
Yeah.
Like, do you have time? Obviously you do, but do they make sure there is time for you to have break, to be able to walk about, to see stuff like?
Not really, to be honest, because the timing that they've done is exactly the same as a standard event. So you got the 3-hour games, the 1-hour lunchtime break, and then another game of 3 hours, and then I think it's like 15 minutes or half an hour break, and then there is the last game. So during the lunch break, which is an hour, that would be the ideal time to walk around and have a browse. But after game 1, I was shattered. I just wanted to eat something, hang around. And then when you walk, you bump in someone that you know. Literally, you can't walk more than 5 minutes. And there is the player that you played 2 events ago, or someone from your local area, or someone that you know through some stream or whatever. So the social aspect is amazing. But if you really want to, in between games, especially the lunch break, that's where you can have a browse around and see.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
unless you're Manichima.
Yeah,
still playing.
It's still playing, never stop. Or
Exactly.
you could do like Nassim. He finishes game in 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then you got the other 2 hours to walk around and browse the event.
How does he do that? I don't understand.
He plays Zelda, right? Yeah.
This year he was playing Elder, yeah.
But there was the story from earlier on in the UKTC season where he like tabled a guy in, what was it, like 20 minutes?
He was playing Tau at the time, and it was a good
20
matchup.
20 minutes?
Nassim is he grinds on TTS like constantly. Remember, I played against him in during the pandemic, and our game was like honestly like 20 minutes, half an hour max. Obviously, it just destroyed me. But
we had him as a guest on one of our episodes, and I did tell him like, it sounds like you got an aggressive play style. He was like, no. It was good. It was good.
So what would you say is going to an LGT? So for anyone out there who's listening to the podcast, thinking to themselves, I want to get into the competitive scene, like, who is this for? Is it for everyone, or is it a certain kind of person or certain level of person should be going to the LGT? What would your advice be for this?
I would say it's open to everyone.
Great.
Because because of the pairing, which is the usual Swiss pairing, the more you play, the more you're gonna get level to someone that is on your same level.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that the point system work and the pairing works, and the placing at the end is win-loss, and then is a opponent win rate percentage. So if you play against an opponent that is winning good game, or especially early on, and lose the game later on, it's going to give you more point and more placing as well at the end. And then is point. and then if you got a tie, then it goes down to point. So that's how they set them up, which is a very good way, especially for an event, a big event like this, and when they're pairing up random, especially in the first few rounds. If you are, let's say, a new player, you might be unlikely in the first round or two. You're going to get paired with someone with a better skill than yours. However, the more that you go, you're going to play with someone that lost to game as much as you. So you're going to get level up pretty quickly. And the competitive scene overall is not, in my opinion, my experience, is not the tryhard that could have been a few years ago. You might find the tryhard, there is always like a 5% of tryhard player, and obviously LGT being so many players, the number, it grows.
Yeah.
But this is my third LGT, so 15 games, just LGT. I had one or two bad experience. All other games have been the best.
Oh, great.
The best.
That's perfect there. And what I was going to say is, for anyone who is joining us on Twitch, hello, thanks for coming along. I know there is another major thing happening right now in Scotland, which a lot of people potentially be watching, which is the football. But thank you for those people that have joined us. If you have any questions, please do ask. And to be honest, if you watch this podcast at a later date and you have questions, also please just ask. Simone, you're on the Discord as well.
Yes, I am.
And also you can just log in and listen to their podcast, ask those questions to them during there. We will be plugging that podcast just below in the description as well, on our Discord as well. So please support all of that. So let's get down into the nitty gritty, Simone, and please talk us through your list, what your thoughts were about this list, and kind of why you chose the Sisters of Battle in the current state of play with Sisters of Battle.
Right. I have to know. I have to know.
So I've been playing. So when did I get back in the hobby? Just before COVID. So it was like January 2020. And I started playing Blood Angels. So during COVID, I played Blood Angels pretty much for a year straight. And I only have one event with Blood Angels after COVID. And then since then, I said, no, I want another faction, something different. I can't play Marines. They're too boring. Even the Blood Angels were too boring. So I was looking for a different faction, and I love the Sisters models. I love the play style, especially at the time it was much more close combat, etc. And I love all the shenanigans they can do. So since the last 2 years and just over 2 years, I've just been playing Sister of Battle constantly. Never switch a faction. That's all I play. The meta was good, the meta was bad for them, doesn't matter. Just Sister for me. So I did recently well with Sister, and I've been playing them in the last 2 LGT, and then 10 edition arrived. I had an event with Sister last July, and I hated it. Literally, it was the most frustrating experience I ever had. So Fulvio and I, we constantly send messages, etc. I was like, they don't play the same. I don't like, there's something wrong. So last August, for 1 full month, I play Imperial Knight, which I was building just as a hobby project. And then after a couple of events with Knight, I was like, I miss the Sisters. I miss all the little shenanigans. I miss flooding the boards with model, not having just 4, 5, 7 models where how many there were, the Knights, etc. So it's like, okay, I really want to enjoy the game. I enjoy playing Sister. They are not the same Sister I used to play in 9th edition, but I don't care. I like close combat. Everyone say close combat is shit in... can we swear? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's a Scottish podcast. I mean,
We have to now. It's really happened.
Oh no, he swore. Oh no.
I decided basically I just wanted to enjoy the game and go back to Sister and have a close combat focus army. So I basically designed the list just thinking of what I really like in terms of play style, and strip off everything. I didn't care if the meta say, everyone on the internet say the Triumph is an auto take. I didn't take the Triumph for St. Catherine. And because for various reasons, in my opinion, it polarized too much, focused the game for sister on one part of the board, everything around the Triumph. So I was like, nope, I want something that is completely independent. So the Triumph is off. Exorcist with the indirect, everyone say you need to have 3 exorcists. I don't have a single one because they're too swingy. So in the way that the way that exorcists work, they're too random. The damage is d6, the number of shots is d6 plus 2 is too random. I like consistency, and I like something that is reliable. Even if it's shit, but at least it's reliable. Then I was looking at the Arcoflagellant, and they did well even the previous list. I was like, okay, 10 are okay. Let's try 30 of them. And 30 were a little bit too many. So I ended up with 2. I'll go through the list in a second, but that's kind of my thinking process behind the list. Then I bounced some idea with Dominic Matthew, who is a great player from our local area here, and just recently won Best Sister for UKTC season this year. So we're bouncing some idea, etc. And he's the one that pushed me to put as many Penitent Engine as possible. And they're great. They're really great. And then with my brother as well, who also play Warhammer 40k, play Orcs, but we play most of the time, not most of the time, but we play a lot of games together. So we're bouncing some idea between different people. So the list is the following. I started with not many characters, but quite few. So whatever they are called now, which I can't even say it, but basically it's Atheros, Stern, and the little pet elf that goes with her.
Yeah.
So they are amazing. They are 2 characters, but they count as a unit. So they give 8 points for assassinate. However, they can deep strike. It's quite difficult to screen a unit of 2 models. So they always start in reserve, and then round 2 or 3, if I need to do an action and deep strike to do that action, that's their job. They also have fight first, lone operative, aka heroically intervene for free. So they're great. They don't do too much in close combat, but the fight first kind of scare a lot of players, and usually in the backfield they just got some chaff, and they're great for clearing out that chaff. And also in the shooting phase, the opponent needs to do a leadership test. One unit of the opponent, I pick one unit of the opponent 12 inches. If they fail the leadership test, they get 3 mortal wound. If it's chaos, you add 2 to the result of the dice. So they can be very annoying. When they deep strike in the backfield, most of the time it does happen, they can be very, very annoying. And also Sister can resurrect a character once per battle per character for 1 CP and couple of miracle dice, so they can stand back up and still be in your back line. So they are quite good. They've done their job. At the character I got the Calidus Assassin. I mean, 90 point up and down all game. That's just an utility tool. I don't care if it can vect stratagem is used to, but the up and down is for 90 points is just a must take for every Imperium list, in my opinion. And I play tactical in all my games as a secondaries, and the list is built to play tactical. And I got enough model around with tools to play tactical consistently quite well. Then I got 2 preachers. So they're the little priest that they go around. They are always with the 2 unit of the Arcoflagellant. And this is because they gave +1 to wound to the Arcoflagellant. So there is a stratagem in Sister for 1 CP, you can give +1 to wound to a unit. But because I like to have as many units as possible in close combat, That's why I need the preacher. So I got +1 to wound on multiple unit. If I charge, if I don't charge, that's consistent. And that's why they're there. And so they are always with the Arcoflagellant. And so I can talk about the Arcoflagellant. So they are a unit toughness 3, but they got 2 wound each and 4 up Fino Pain. No save, but 4 up Fino Pain. And basically a unit of 10 is 40 wound, but with 50% of ignoring any damage, it basically makes them a unit of 60 wound, pretty much, statistically. So they are amazing. So their job is to get in combat. They got an ability that maximize their attack, triple their attack. So they got 6 attacks per model. So one single unit is 60 attacks. And then they got sustain hits. They hit on 4, +1 to wound from the preacher, and twin link. And also they're only strength 5, but when you got +1 to wound and twin link, it makes them much more consistent. 0 AP. So against unit with a 2-up save, they don't do much, but their job is not to kill stuff. Their job is to get into combat and don't die. They are basically just a trap, pretty much, to move, block anything, and keep everyone in combat. So they usually go with the preacher, as I say, in the Rhino, and then they just move forward, disembark, and create a mess in the opponent backline and push the opponent in the deployment zone so that the opponent cannot move forward, and therefore, because they have to deal with them, but they don't die easily, and therefore they can't score point. So that's kind of how the list kind of works. So the Arcoflagellant are amazing. And then I got Crusader, which are just a couple of guys that stay at the back, hold some objective and do nothing, pretty much. Well, nothing. They hold objective, so that's their job. A unit of 5 Seraphim, which are the jump pack. Unit of 5 with 2 of them go 2 and flamer each. So they don't do much damage, but they are great because of the movement. And also when they shoot, they can then move 6 inches. So they can either come down in deep strike, shoot something in 12, and then move 6, and then they cannot charge. Or they can just, I never put them in deep strike. I usually keep them near one objective I want to hold. And then if needed, they can move 18 thanks to the shooting. So they are great with their mobility more than anything else. Then I got 3 Castigators, and they are the best tank for system. A lot of people go with the battle cannon, and I go with the auto cannon, not because I'm a hipster, but because the auto cannon has got reroll hit roll against infantry, and the meta at the moment is full of infantry more than tank and vehicle. Yeah. Well, the battle cannon has got reroll hit against vehicle and monster, but the auto cannon, the choice that I made, does have twin link. So against infantry, I got full rerolls, hit and wound. So that's pretty good. The only downside is the -1 AP, which is not much, but it's got damage 3. So every save that is missed is 1 Custodes, whatever they're called, dead, pretty much. And then it's got 3 heavy bolter. So at the end of the day, if you are in 24 inches, which is the rapid fire for the autocannon, you got 8 shot from the autocannon, 9 shot for heavy bolters, hunter killer missile once per battle, which is for free. You always miss, but
yeah, it's nice to have. It's nice to have.
It's at least we don't pay for it now.
Yeah.
And the stone bolter. So each castigator does have quite a lot of shots, and I don't keep them at the back. I move them forward, right behind the Arcoflagellant, again to keep the ball control. And if they stay at the back and shoot from a distance, I don't think you make the most of them. You gotta keep the pressure, at least in this type of list, which is quite an aggressive list. Then I've got 3 Penitent Engine, and 3 mortifiers. So the Penitent Engine were great, and I knew that. All with Buzzblade, so they got strength 10. So Tank Shock has been the stratagem that I use the most. And with the Penitent Engine, they can advance and charge, and then Battle Shock, constantly they were dishing out Mortal Wound. 4 or 5 Mortal Wound every time, if not 6. So Tank Shock has been the best stratagem for this type of list. And then they got the Flamer with the Assault. So basically, they're just great. Overwatching stuff around. Literally, they did a lot. And they are on the front line next to the Arcoflagellant. Then at the back, to screen out the back and to shoot from a distance, I got the Mortifier. And they are a small model, but they can screen a lot. So everything starts on the board with except of 1 Knight, I'll go in a second to that one, and 2 Ephros turn. Everything else is on the board to flood the board as much as possible. Then I got 2 Rhinos, as I said, for the Flagellant. And then I got last unit, 3 Warglaves Armigers. And they're not sister, I get it, but we still need to deal some damage.
Yeah.
The Thermosphere is a bit swingy. 2 shot without the reroll 1, etc. that the Knight has got. Sometimes this is not great, but is another piece, and they basically move forward and take the board control. OC8, which is great. And I noticed that people were shooting at the Warglaves instead of the Arcoflagellant or the Rhino or whatever, because they are scared of this big robot moving forward, but it tend to be a trap. And so the list, the way it works is basically divided in 2. It's a very symmetrical list with 1 Rhino with the Flagellant, Penitent Engine, and the Warglaive, and they move as a 2 blob, exactly the same, and they move forward on 2 flanks. Everything else in between, Mortifier at the back to screen. And in between the screen and the first wave, there are the Castigators. So that's kind of how the list works and the composition of the list. Very aggressive, everything forward, and finger crossed.
So you essentially have created a very control list. Like, you are trying to force the opponent to move in the way that you want them to move, and with this list. So would that be a usual way that sisters would play, or is that a way that you've kind of had to pivot to make the sisters work in 10th?
I think it's halfway through both. The truth is in between.
Okay.
Most sister lists at the moment, they would have the Triumph, and therefore everything that is quite strong rotate around the Triumph. So where I say my list is symmetrical and therefore more balanced, wherever you hit is the same wave that is gonna hit you.
Yeah.
The most common sister list is more focused on the flank where they got the Triumph. And this is because the Triumph gives the feel no pain around there. It gives the possibility to use as many miracle dice as you want on a unit, and these sort of tricks. And that's why it's a little bit more unbalanced, the strength of the list. The Arcos are the new trend. You're going to see a lot of lists with 3 units of 10. I believe it's too many. The third unit I tested, and it doesn't do it. You don't really need it. I'd rather have another Knight or another Castigator. And a lot of people still playing the Exorcist for the indirect, but for 160 point or whatever it is, that it doesn't deliver all the time. It can be great, and the next turn it does nothing. So I would say, but to answer your question, I would say that the sister list at the moment, they don't have the damage, they don't deliver, they don't do as much damage, and therefore they need to be more board control.
Yeah, and it really feels like that sort of move towards a sort of similar to old Gene Stealer lists where it was, we don't do much damage, but we can control the board really, really well. Which is just an interesting way that I always think with new editions that, yeah, it might seem like armies aren't that good right now, but maybe that's because we need to be more creative in how they need to be played. It's just a complete shift in how they change.
Absolutely. If I think the way of I was playing Sister in ninth, there is no comparison. Sister in ninth was, they were like 3 units of Repentia, 3 units of Retributor. You come close to me, if you are in the 24 inches, you are done.
Yeah.
So the board control was through the threat.
Yeah.
Where now the board control is through, I don't allow you to move. I'm here, you are trapped in between all my models. Until you don't deal with them, you don't move.
Yeah.
And that's how we shift. And that's why I wasn't enjoying Sister at the beginning of 10th, because I was still playing them with the mentality of 9 edition.
Yeah.
And I was expecting to deal damage and to threat my opponent. But when they came in the threat range and I charged them, I wasn't killing anything.
Yeah.
But in return, I'm still fragile as much as I was in 9th.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's why it was a frustrating experience.
Yes, no, that sounds it. And what I quite liked there that you were saying was you kind of omitted certain units that you'll say a lot of lists and a lot of other competitive lists take because of the swingy nature to them. And I always find that quite interesting when you're picking things for competitive play. Do you pick the chance of potential high reward, but if it doesn't come off, you're probably going to be completely dead? Or do you stick with something that is maybe just always along that sort of that middle line of saying, this is going to be consistent. I know what is going to happen. I have complete control of this list. I know how it's going to perform, rather than it might perform like this or it might not. And we're just going to have to see.
Correct. I mean, I play Sister, so I don't like to take a chance, and that's why I love Miracle Dice.
Mm-hmm.
If I got a 6-inch charge and I got a 5 as a Miracle Dice, I'm gonna use a 5, and then whatever result is the other dice, I don't care. So I love consistencies. Otherwise, I would play Orcs. And
that's true.
I
mean, yeah.
So
fair enough.
Yeah. So that's why my choice, they always fall in something that would consistently deliver me something, whatever, if it's a toolbox or whatever, if it's damage output, whatever it is, but I know what it is, and then I can control it.
And I quite liked what you were saying a bit right at the start, where you were saying you design your list around playing tactical. And I think that is something that is really new for people in 10th, because we haven't had tactical before. We've always had fixed secondaries. And it's definitely something that I've had to really think about in the next iteration of my Gene Stealer list, is that idea, okay, what are all the things that I could have to do in tactical to score points? Because I've had a lot of games recently where I've scored very low on secondaries because stuff was coming up where I was like, well, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And so you were saying that you take an assassin unit.
The Calidus. Yeah, so I've got few units dedicated to do particular secondaries. So, for example, the Mortifier, that they screen at the back and they shoot from 36. They got 36-inch range plus 8 movement. But because they are the back screening, they are great to do investigate signal, because they will always be near the corners.
Nice.
So I'm going to score at least 4 points in investigate signal, because I'm going to have at least 2 Mortifier screening the corner, 9 inches away from the corner. The Rhino, it's the best unit to do deploy teleport home or cleanse, because I got 2 rhinos. You can kill one. You won't kill both of them because you don't care about the rhino when you got 2 Armiger in front of you, or Arcoflagellant or Penitent Engine. So before you shoot the rhino, you got too much other stuff that you want to shoot. So the rhino, as soon as they Arcoflagellant disembark and do their job, the Rhino go and hide behind a ruin. And usually in UKTC, there is a fixed terrain, so you can predict that. And there is always one of the small ruin near the center, where you cannot hold the center objective, but they are perfect to park a Rhino right there, and it can stay there.
Because it's within 6. It's just
Correct.
within 6. That's really clever. That's a really good use of that.
So you leave it there, and then basically you get teleport home. It doesn't need to move. It can do teleport home in the center, unless you got space for a Calidius to drop at the back and do teleport home. So I always have the choice. Or it can do cleanse, and basically just move, and then basically move back and then move on the objective, or area denial. So there is always the unit ready to do that mission. If not, there is the Seraphim that they're gonna replace the Rhino if he get killed with the movement, so they can hide, and then with the 12-inch movement they can do the action or whatever in the center. So that's how I play tactical. I got unit to do as many tactical secondary as possible, and they are positioned on the board in order that as soon as I draw the card, I got 1 or 2 units ideally ready to score those points.
Yeah, that's
you
great.
Get that
That's
really,
absolutely...
Sorry, Nick. You get that really clever thing as well, because the way you've explained it, you've got 2 identical kind of mini castles.
Yep.
And it's that overload for your opponent. So like, even if I was to target everything on this side, well, everything over here just does its job as intended.
Yeah.
And then then the pressure's on to, oh no, you've got everything over here. I have to deal with this problem. And so the things that didn't die on the other flank now get ignored, and they have a turn to go do all these little things for you, which is just it's really clever.
And I've got 3 penitent engine, so their role is to be 1 in the middle and 2 in the side. The 2 on the side, they go with the mini castle and they move forward. The 1 in the middle is to threat the center and then advance on an objective if I go first and want to control that objective, or assist the Rhino. If the Rhino died, I got the penitent engine doing that job. So I always have 2, if not 3 units ready to score the secondaries.
Great. And actually, that is just a really good insight for anyone watching who's interested in that competitive play. That's just like another level of thinking in your competitive play, because obviously you're thinking, I need to get onto objectives and I need to kill stuff, but you also need to think, oh, that's the reason you have this one model that literally makes no sense in the list, because they're tiny and they can just come down somewhere and get behind enemy lines, or some random thing in the backfield for you and probably die, but they've done the hero thing. They've done the hero thing and done something for you.
Then they can die. Because I'm not a good player. For example, my brother is really good at thinking 1 or 2 turns ahead. So every time he moves something, he knows that I'm going to react to moving that one, and therefore he will move that unit somewhere else. I'm not that kind of player. I'm much more, I need to have my game plan. So before I go to any event, and if I got the terrain layout, I'm going to test my deployment on Tabletop Simulator, and then I'm going to write it down on my deployment on this piece of paper, basically, and where I want to move my unit. And then I got already the fixed secondaries if I want to go for 6, which never happened, but I got the option there. And what I got in strategic reserve. So I got, for every mission, I do a test for deployment and I write it down. So I need to be well prepared. And then I'm quite good at reacting. I'm more like a reactive player. So if I got my game plan, I can stick to that one and then react to the way that my opponent play, and trying to manipulate as much as possible. It doesn't always happen, but that's how I prepare for event.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Sorry.
So did you find that people were kind of making it easy to react in, because you had your big kind of wall of castles And so, but did that make it quite comfortable to be reactive then?
Yeah. So in 9 was different because I used to have my castle with the repentia nest with my 21 repentia, all the character in one part, and on the other part I have the retributor. So it was still I tend to stick to a plan in most mission, but it was much more unbalanced. That one was 100% close combat, and the other part was 100% shooting. And then depending on the mission the terrain layout, I was deploying them in one part or the other. When now I've gone for the fully balanced deployment, and then basically adapt myself to the way that the opponent is playing.
Oh, that makes sense. So if we now go into your matchups at the tournament, and just really briefly tell us your first one, how it went, and then we can go through there and just see kind of your journey through it, and also just like how you were feeling at the times, maybe even your energy levels. That's pretty good for people just to have an understanding where your head is at different parts of the tournament.
So I go to event with expectation, and my expectation here they were very low, literally. Because I was like, I've done 3-4 test games with Sister with these lists. They went well, even against Eldar. I only lost by a couple of points. So I was quite happy with it, but you never know. So London GT is such a shark tank that you can find the casual player, but you can find the world-class player as well. So you never know. And with Sister, the expectation were low. So I was happy if I would win just one game. Then my goal was to win 2 games, stretch goal to win 3 games. So going 4-1 basically exceeded my expectation. I can't be happier than that. So round 1, I play against Richard Sims, or Ricky Sims, who is a player of the Scottish WTC team. And he was playing Thousand Sun. It was an amazing game. He is super good. He is way better than me. He's way better than me. What gave me the advantage, I think, is that he told me that he's specialized in playing Gene Stealer card, and he was playing Thousand Suns. It was the first time playing that list for him at London GT, or second time, something like that. So he had zero practice on that. But he's such a good player that I won just by 2 points, 75-73. So he had a lot of experience. He's been great. He was playing the list with Magnus and a lot of Rubrics Marine with the Flamers. So tough matchup for me, because wherever I move, he would be able to overwatch me and kill, and if you're getting closer. But I stick to the plan. And the Arcos did stop Magnus for a couple of turns because he couldn't kill them. And basically he made one mistake that cost him the game, moving one small unit, I can't remember, I think it was Zangor or something like that, towards the center. And I already had my Seraphine on the objective, overwatch with the hand flamers and kill that unit and flip the objective with that one. He couldn't score the secondary deployed Helpertomer because he went fixed mission, bring it down, because I give something like 36 points in bring it down in my list, because everything is vehicle, and deploy teleportomer. So he max bring it down at turn 3 or 4, but he didn't score more than 13. I got it here. Yeah, more than 13 in teleportomer, and that would help me out basically. But it was an amazing game. I learned a lot. He's a proper gentleman, and it's very cool game. Very cool game. So after that game, I was happy, but it was one game. Still have 4 to go. And round 2, it was against Charlie and his League of Wotan. So funny enough, no one played League of Wotan in my area. So it was my very first game against League of Wotan. And there they are. So I know that they shoot a lot. I know they got more model around. So I was like, okay, I know enough. I'm just going to put pressure and keep them in the deployment zone avoid to get shot. And the plan worked. I won 100 to 67. Very, very good game. My opponent was really, really good, but he couldn't score primary. And I kept him down in tactical as well because I was all over the board, and therefore he couldn't deep strike to do tactical in my part, because I'm very good at screening with this army because I got so many models that I can screen everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just kept him honest in his own deployment zone, and he couldn't score point. So that was my goal achieved in terms of expectation. So I said, well, I'm already happy. The next 3 games, wherever it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
So I ended up being on table 6 for round 3. So quite high table in 380 table.
up with the big boys.
So I was like, oh shit, okay, it's gonna be fun. So I got paired to another 1,000-some player, Paul Bridge, who's a coach for Vanguard Tactics.
Oh, cool.
And so he's very, very good player. And I lost 100 to 95. So
wow.
So
That
close.
is a high point game.
So it was an amazing game. And it was on that mission, what is called, I'm looking down here because I got the table,
Is the one,
the app.
Is the one where you kick the objective, right? It's when you make a new objective and just
supply,
kick it up.
supply drop.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
that
a pain in the
there.
ass.
But
The
most
worst
importantly, is the one, what is called? I can't remember now, but it's basically the one that if you go second, you score the point at the end, and then you score
16 points or something at the end.
Yeah.
He got 25 points. 25 points at the end. Because you get
because you get the 5 and 5 and 15 on top. Yeah,
correct.
That's flippy.
And you went second. So, and that's what flipped the game at the because round 3 and 4 he was like, I'm losing this. I was like, nah, you're not losing this. But round 4 he drew capture enemy outpost and basically double move Magnus on my objective, and he flipped that one. He scored 8 points there. And then he double move Magnus again on another objective where I only have Seraphine at the end of the game, and therefore he was able to score 25 thanks to that. I misplayed my Arcos in one game because I kept it on one side and kept it in the Rhino until round 3, and there was a big mistake. I should have got and put pressure where he was able to control the middle of the center of the ball from at the end of round 3. So I made that mistake, to be honest, but he played a spot on game, and it was so close. So only lost 95 to 100. I'll take that.
Yeah, 100%. And like, it just sounds like Magnus was the MVP of that game. Really, just like caused all kinds of problems, and it's what happens. It's what makes tactical such an interesting way to play, because you don't know what you're going to flip, and in a way it does make it more like the lore of the game would be, right? Like, you're in a battle, you can't be like, oh, now we're going to go do this thing to win us the fight. So I like it.
Absolutely. And having a piece that is flexible, like a unit that is flexible, like Magnus, they're allowed to objective control 6, double move, shoot a lot, it kills a lot, it doesn't die. So it is a very good utility piece. In both games with Thousand Sun, it was a tricky one, to be honest, to deal with, and I just ignored it. I was like, I'll leave him alive because I can't kill it, because Sister can't kill anything, and definitely not Magnus. So I'll just try to kill everything else. And in the first game, it worked. In the second game, not as much.
Yeah.
But it was good learning experience. So that was the end of day 1. So I was 2-1. I was exhausted.
Okay.
I was definitely exhausted. So then we did rent an Airbnb with the team, and which was meant to be 10 minutes away, but there was the match, Tottenham Liverpool, and the stadium is literally next door to where the LGT is. So we got stuck in traffic for 45 minutes, and then we go home. And anyway, the Airbnb was interesting. More detail on our podcast. Let's
Yes,
like that.
was it the charming?
It was the charming. That's it.
Yes.
So basically, when I book it, and now I'm not in charge of booking houses anymore. But the post, it was charming rooms near stadium, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah.
And then 1 week before, we receive an email saying the name of your post or the house that you booked, they just changed, and now is room near the stadium. Okay, it's lost the charm. There's something wrong. But it was all right. We didn't spend many hours there, so it was okay. So anyway, so that was the end of round day 1.
Yep.
So going on day 2, I play Charles and his Gene Stealer cult. And I play against Gene Stealer a few times. Not that I got great experience. And they, as you know, they got a little bit of a change after the data slate, so they don't come back as much. But the player is a player that I know because he came to a couple of our events. He did win our last GT in 9, so I knew I was up to a good challenge, good game. Because he's a great player, Charles, and a fantastic person, but also a challenging game. So I went there with almost low expectation. I said, I'll do my best. Ended up well, because I managed to win 93-63.
Oh, nice.
The score doesn't reflect the game. It was a much harder game, in my opinion. But I kept him low in primaries, because he only scored 25 out of 50 primaries, because I just put pressure.
Put stuff on it, yeah.
So when he was deep striking, he had to deep strike in his deployment or mid-board, because I was to further basically pushing as much as I could. I made a massive mistake, because I forgot about the 3-inch deep strike with the stratagem from GSC. And he basically managed to deep strike in a small pocket right on my home objective, because I was screening the back. I wasn't screening enough on the objective.
Yeah.
Great move. He flipped basically a few points at that point there, and then I killed them all, because literally it was surrounded by an army jet. It was surrounded by mortifier, everything basically. But that was quite a crucial one. So at that point, I started screening a bit better, and then kept putting pressure, and he couldn't move from his deployment zone, and that's why I basically almost maxed my point with that. And then last game, where I was super happy being 3-1.
That's great.
Already my stretch goal achieved. And I got played to a teammate, or Charles. I can't remember the name of the team, Dread something. I'm pretty bad about names. And so I play against Sean and his orcs. So I got a lot of experience playing against orcs. And that game, basically, we finished round 3. And I won 100-53. And basically, the way I knew my target priority, what was my target priority, and I kept screening the back. My opponent made a big mistake of putting in deep strike the squigos, and then bringing them on the table at round 3. It was too late.
Yeah.
And because I screened so much, he had to come from the strategic reserve in his deployment zone.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how much pressure I put on it, and that's it. Basically, round 3 just conceded, and that was the end of my LGT.
Great. And not like having played into an Orcs list recently and seen the damage squig hogs can do, like essentially you just need to have them on there right from the beginning, essentially.
Yep.
Just to put absolute pain down.
Absolutely. He had the standard list with lots of boys, lots of trucks, and the flash kits with their character, and they shoot a lot. They shoot a lot when they are in the track, and they shoot a lot when they are out of the track. So straight away, I destroyed the track, so they didn't have enough movement to find the angles, and screen as much as I could for the Storm Boys, and not having the Squeak Hog on the table, he couldn't take advantage of the advance and charge from the WAG. So they lost a lot of movement. Then as soon as he used the -1 to wound stratagem, I vected with the Calidius because it's a battle tactics stratagem. So he used the only once, and that was quite a good move in a way, because he killed a big chunk of his resilience, basically. And then just killing the track as the first things, and then kill everything was coming out, and keep flooding the board with the Arcoflagellant to keep him on his deployment zone pretty much.
Right.
And he didn't pass the center of the table. So the board control worked.
Amazing.
Quite well.
So where did you end up in terms of that tournament? What was your placement?
So I ended up being 98 out of the 750 something. So quite happy with that, to be
That's
honest.
real good.
It
That's
was
a lot of ITC points.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was like 220 something maybe. I can't remember now, but it was quite a lot. We were 12 sisters player, and only 3 of us. No one got 5-0. Only 3 of us got 4-1. It was myself, and then just above me on position 47, it was Philippe Lamar, who was the team captain for WTC for France, and he did really well. And then number 100, the other person 4-1 was Mitch Beard, the Sister Act 40K podcast host, and we were the only one going 3-1. And then win rate at LGT for sister was something like 40 or 42% otherwise. So a bit of a struggle.
Yes.
But yeah,
With you
it's
guys
alright.
carrying that statistic then, keeping that statistic up.
We're doing our best.
Do you think that if you hadn't made that mistake of not disembarking from the transport early in the game that you lost, do you think that would have made a difference to that game? Do you think you would have ended up winning that game?
Possibly. It would be a small win. It wouldn't, because he almost stabled me.
Okay.
Right, okay.
But this means that the Arcos would keep busy some of his big unit, for example, Magnus. So Magnus probably wouldn't have been in the position to double move and take my objective and then take another objective. It would be further down. So possibly. Going second is always a disadvantage on that mission anyway.
Yes.
And he had the power to table me, so I didn't have many units at the end to control enough objective. So possibly. The problem is then I wouldn't know what would have been my pair in round 4 and then round 5. So it would have been maybe
true. Yes.
So it would have changed completely the event, because last year I went 3-2. At the end of day 1 I was 3-0, still LGT, and round 4 I don't talk about that round because it was one of my only bad experience at LGT. Round 5 I play against Christopher Radford, who was number 1 ITC player for Space Wolf at the end of this IT season, and now he plays in Team Ignite with David Gaylard, Big VJ, so a top player. Brian as well, so he's a top player. One of my best game, one of my favorite game was Chris, and we shake hand, we hug each other this year, we recognize each other, so it's good. It's good experience anyway, so you never know with the pairing who you're gonna get.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, like, going to LGT, realistically, for most people, you're not going there thinking, this is it. this is it, boys. I'm going there, I'm winning. You're going to have a good time, but also to learn and get better.
Yeah.
If you get to play into a Vanguard tactics coach, or you get to play into like a top 10 in the country world player, you're going to see them do stuff and you're going to be like, that was real clever. And that's kind of the good way of going into those big competitions, is in you're looking for learning points rather than being like, fuck's sake, or just getting angry, or being like really upset that for some reason like if it was me, have played like 1 year of this, 1.5 years, 2 years of this game, and I'm not beating the top player in the world, and be like, I can't believe it.
But
you know, so
that's exactly it. That's the beauty of, I think, of London GT. You literally every game you get everyone, most people from the UK, so you can find all sorts of level, and you're gonna bump on someone that is really, really good, that you can learn something from it. Just be conscious, let's say, be realistic with your expectation, and that's key to have a good time to any event, but in particular to LGT. Doesn't have to be low expectation, as I did this year, but be realistic, I think, is a key factor for it.
Great.
I mean, people forget, even if you go 5-0 after these first rounds, like there's a lot of Warhammer still to play at the LGT when you get to these knockout stages to get to that grand champion on a Monday night. It's crazy.
Yeah, they deserve those points. They deserve.
To play some of these guys. What was it? One or two of them played like 14 or 15 games because they played in the RTT. They played in the Invitational. They played the RTT. Played all the way through, like survived like shadow rounds, and they're playing till like 1 a.m. on the Sunday night.
It was funny that at the end of day one, we saw a group of people around the table, and there was another game going on. It was Ines Wilson and Manichima. So basically, they did the Invitational on Friday, but it was divided in two groups, the Invitational. So the winner of each group, they play on Saturday after the main event to see who would be the winner of the Invitational. And I was like, we look at each other, it's like, they are playing another game. They played 3 games yesterday, 3 games today, and now they are playing, and tomorrow there is day 2. I was like, oh, fuck that.
Go to the bar, go get a beer.
And then in the traffic.
Yeah.
And in the cozy rooms. No. The charming rooms.
In the charming room. Former charming room.
Simone, a question.
Oh, yeah, please.
How do you find the UKTC terrain? No, that is still a kind of work in progress, right? So they changed a lot since the previous edition. They tried to kind of change the layout a bit to stop like Elder and Titanic, so like smashing everything. How do you think it is? Is it still good enough? You think you prefer other form, because you play on GW's terrain as well, right?
So Team Hivemind, we until the end of 9 we've done with the GW terrain, the big plate. A slightly different version. We modified. James and Matt, they are the one organizing all the event and thinking of the terrain, etc. So they did, if you remember, there were 2 big U-shape ruin. One of the 2, they did break it in the middle, so you can still shoot through it if you are on it, because otherwise it would be too close, as in terrain. And now that they've changed GW, but we still have a shitload of those terrain and plates, Matt and James, they've done a great job to create our own terrain layout. And they are really good. They were done to balance towering a little bit. And now the towering is changed, we might need to change them a little bit, to be honest, but they're really good. I love the new UKTC terrain. I think they found the right spot, the sweet spot, because until the end of 9, they had those medium shape ruin. There are 4 of those with the windows. So you just need to touch it and you can shoot through it. And something like Tau, it was too overpowered. because they got the mobility to jump, touch a ruin, and then they see everything. When now all the ruin ground floor is blocked. And also to shoot through a ruin, you have to be with the base fully on the base, not just touching it. So now they're way better. You can stage well if you're a combat army, because if you got decent movement or standard movement, you can stage well, and you don't run in the risk to being shot because everything is blocked, the ground floor. They are still quite open at the end, like on either side. But I think it's okay. I really like them, to be honest. I think they're in the sweet spot at the moment. At the moment, they are my favorite terrain layout.
How did you find the build up to this before they changed the beta pack? Because we did lots of games on the beta pack, and we played in a club event on the beta pack, and it was scary. These tiny gaps and things in the center of the table. And
when I was doing the testing, I was playing night with the pre-data slate, so it was in August, and I think they did stop night enough because they couldn't. You have to basically be, for example, the medium ruin. You have to be right within the ruin to shoot through it, because they were tall enough that you couldn't get through line of sight if the opponent have the unit tucked in under the, at the bottom of the ruin. So they did stop towering decently well, in my opinion. And then so we system only have 3 games with the latest set of terrain layout, and I liked it, to be honest. It's good. You get clear fire lane. The objective in the middle is that you can't hold it and be hidden. I think is a nice touch, and you cannot shoot in most cases from one end to the other of the terrain. There is always one ruin in between now, and with towering gone, it's even better. So I like them. I'm quite happy with the UKTC terrain at the moment.
Did the UKTC, I can't exactly remember, but do they have certain rules that they have that aren't GW rules? And what are your feelings around tournaments kind of making their own sets of rules rather than following the full GW rules?
So they got their own sort of FAQ on the rules, and at our event, Team Hivemind, we adopted the same as UKTC for one simple reason. All right, so one simple reason, we, as you said, we don't like to have different event having their own rules, and the UKTC is becoming the standard in the UK. So we know that a lot of events around here that they're using the same FAQ. I think they are okay. They are not. There is some point like the I think command reroll is not a battle tactic, so you come back to. There is some tweak like that, but I'm not the rule specialist. That's James. Yeah, that's a question. I play my best. I know the rule, and maybe the rule that I think they are standard GW, actually they come from the FAQ. But
I'm like exactly the same.
Yeah. On the rule side, Simone, did they change? I think we saw something on Reddit that the day before LGT, they said the rapid insertion. How's it called?
Rapid
ingress.
Yeah, rapid ingress was not playable with Deep Strike, and then they backtracked on that one. Do you know anything?
Yeah,
they say anything?
They did. Yeah, I think they did. But as I said, it's okay. I turn up at the table. I kind of know all the rules, but I don't know when they change everything. I don't get involved too much.
Yeah, that was
changes
weird.
coming fast and quick, and then they disappear again. It's like a magic thing. Someone waves a hand and there's a rules change, and then somebody else waves a hand and it disappears, and no one's ever got the truth on whether it's valid or not valid anymore.
Exactly. The good things of LGT, they got this WhatsApp system for rules. So they send you this number for WhatsApp a the week before, which you just save it, whatever. And then if you got a rule question, you don't have a judge near you because the venues is huge. If it's a simple question, like a rule question like this one here, you can text it.
That's amazing.
And basically within few minutes you get a reply straight away.
That's
Literally few
really
minutes.
clever.
Because I think they got 2 or 3 judges at a computer answering just the WhatsApp. And in all honesty, when I look around, there was always a judge around me anyway. Not me in particular, because they know I'm a cheater, but you know what I mean.
They're just watching you.
Watching out for the dodgy Italians, you know.
Exactly.
How's this guy doing so well? How's this guy doing so well with sisters?
With
That's what
sis,
people
what
were
the
saying.
fuck?
Loaded dice.
Yeah.
It's the mafia dice.
They were always putting them in the toilet, you know. So, but there was always a judge around, so you can always ask. But if needed, the WhatsApp service was great. It was really,
Sounds
really
really
good.
cool. I don't
Well,
think
I
our
think-
events are ever going to be big enough for that.
Yeah, no, we just yell it. Someone yells it across the hall and we just yell back at them. That's our WhatsApp. Live WhatsApp.
Same as ours, to be honest. But yeah,
Well, what I think this has done is definitely hyped Dave up to get a bus a load of us to go down to LGT next time. I
Well,
know
yeah,
you
like-
were very jealous.
Like Fulvio and I and Kier in our club, also we had a group chat. We went to Nottingham way back in February now. I can't believe it's so long ago, and had like a mind blowing experience at UKTC. Fell in love with the format and have championed it here in Glasgow ever since. Right to the point where like our events, like they're UKTC terrain, mission pack terrain. We even follow the same like mission order, so it's like always 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like the way Zach has it, so you can practice, get that experience. And then we were like, right, we need to go to LGT, and then it's like, I got a new job. Fulvio got married. Kira, we had all these, and then it just didn't happen, and we were just like, okay, well, what we're going to do? Well, we'll just have we'll do our own thing for the day. We'll pretend we're at LGT with our.
fair enough. Yeah, I remember we had few my teammates. They met Fulvio and you guys at Nottingham last year. We got a few guys already booked for next year. It was in January, I think.
Yep.
I can come to this one, but definitely, guys, you gotta come at the next LGT and possibly one of our event, and we might do the same in yours.
I
that'd be
already
a
request
great
annual
trip.
leave, so yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, I have to.
I did buy the LGT ticket already. They released the early bird
Nice.
I've
for the
got
player
the
they went.
email. I've got an email about early bird tickets, but I don't think I can access it yet.
Yeah, I think it was for if you play in this year, they give you access.
Right, okay.
The cost is quite high. I'm not gonna lie. That's probably so. The downside of LGT, in my opinion, is the cost is fairly high because £75 last year, where 2 years ago was £50, so it's already 50% increase in 2 years. This year, the early birds are £75. I don't know how the regular ticket are gonna be. And the toilets were crap. They weren't good. There was a swimming pool up here at some point. Yeah, the toilets were pretty bad.
A few podcasts have mentioned that.
Yeah, and the space between table is not amazing, I have to admit. If I have to highlight the negative of LGT, because literally you got mat touching the mat next to you, and you got a row of 10 table. So if you have to go and see what happened on the other part, or you go under the table, or you walk 5 table down and 5 table up, and literally you can't put your model in between mats because you don't have the space. And that's the only downside of it. I had a big tray, which was a pain to walk around the aisle, but then there is a box under every table, which is where they put the terrain. And as soon as I arrived at the table, I took the box and put my tray on it. So I had my sort of shelf under the table.
Brilliant.
But those are probably the downside of an event like UKTC. But other than that, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, we need to do like the Americans. They go with the trolley or the foldable trolley, and
No,
they
you
just
go
go around.
to IKEA. You get the little IKEA trolley
Yeah, yeah.
because it's made of metal, so you just put everything on magnets, and you get your little IKEA trolley. And you just like
Yeah.
bring some snacks in the bottom shelf.
I saw Manichima with his trolley and 200 cultists on it. But yeah.
Just with a shovel to just move them. Honestly,
Exactly.
Just pick them up. There you go. Chuck them on the table. There you go. Cultists, deal with these.
He's used to it. What did he have last year? It was 200
racks.
something rack.
Yeah, everyone had the racks. Yeah, like 200. I think it was. Yeah, it's just absolutely.
Jesus Christ. I like models on the table, but that's when it's on another level.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought my current list was bad. It's got 91 models on it, but that's just too many.
Yeah, that one is on. It's too
Well,
many. Too many.
I play the GSC, so I am definitely used to high model counts. And my newest one has a lot of 20-man squads in it. I think it's going way over into the deep hundreds of models that I'm carrying around.
Simone, you put Nick on a clock if you have to play him in the future. Put Nick on the clock.
Having said that, I didn't offer the clock to any of my opponent, which is bad. But the GSC player did ask me to use the clock. So the only game that I played on the clock was against GSC. And he was like, that's more for you than for me. But I like to be even, let's say, and not take your time. So do you mind playing on the clock? I said, yeah, fair point. Absolutely. So we play on the clock. It was the only game with GSC.
Nice. That's good.
Offered by the GSC player.
Proper good sports stuff, that.
Yeah. It was great. As I said, Charles is an amazing guy and amazing opponent, so it was good. That's the nice touch.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Simone, for coming, speaking to us, speaking to our listeners, speaking to our members. So many good insights that I've even just taken from planning your army around tactical missions themselves to just re-looking at your army and not trying to think of it in the same way as you have been from 9th edition, because to be honest, a lot of the armies have changed quite a lot. Like, I think about Grey Knights. I think Grey Knights are going to become a really, really strong army. I just think people are still trying to work out the new way to play them right now. And we actually saw in our RTT, Grey Knight list in the top 3 of the RTT as well. So I think there's a lot of rethinking and reframing that needs to happen, which I think is really amazing. So it's just really, really interesting to listen to you talk about an army that people wouldn't expect to have gone 4-1 at the LGT and did because of the plan you had around it. And to be honest, the fact that you know that army inside out, you've played them for such a long time that even when the rules change, you know who's who and what's what and kind of what's going on with them as well, which I think makes a huge difference. And again, really goes to that point that we say a lot. That's learn your army. Like, it can be fun to play multiple armies, but there are downsides to that as well in terms of you are spreading yourself really thin over a very large amount of rules, which can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a few guests on our podcast, like Nassim Fushain or Mark Vickery, who's been a top Asuriani ITC a couple of years ago, Stephen Box as well, Mike Costello, etc. And with all of them, every time we start talking about competitive and recommendation, suggestion to get better at the game, all of them, they say practice, stick to one faction until you know the inside out, because a faction specialist will always be a better player than a meta chaser that keep jumping and rules by rules. So that's something that came out with every time we interview on our podcast some of these big guys,
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. As I've said, for anyone that wants to listen to any of those great interviews that Simone's been talking about, we will link the Hivemind podcast in the description below. anyone that's got any questions, you can contact us. You can contact Hivemind themselves, contact Simone. He is on the Discord, so just reach out, ask him any questions. I know we have quite a few sisters players in the club who are a bit disenfranchised with the sisters, so they may have some questions for you. They may ask some stuff as well. So thank you so much for being open to that. And yeah, please come up at some point and play in one of our tournaments. We would love that.
Yep.
We'd love to see you, and we need to come down. Definitely need to come down.
Yeah, road trip.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. As you can tell, I can talk about Sororitas as, for other 3-4 hours. I can't stop talking about them. So yeah, you should come to one of our event. The next one is in November, the 19th. We got a small RTT, we're small 30 player, so decent RTT. Down in the southeast, but yeah, we got a lot of events. We put them up on our Discord, on our Facebook pages. So, as you said, Nick, they are all up there on the internet.
Great.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem
Thank
at all.
you.
And thank you, everyone at home. As always, if you want to find out more about Reaper Wargaming in Glasgow, just join our Discord. All the information is down below. You can book matches, come down to the club, come and hobby. We have all kinds of gaming that happens in that place, from Blood Bowl. We've got a crusade happening right now. We've got a league happening right now. It's literally all kicking off. Most Mondays, and every Friday. So please just join the Discord, reach out to the Primarchs in the chat, and we'll try and answer any questions that you have. And yeah, just thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on the next podcast.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.